Did ancient humans have anxiety and panic attacks? Right now, you have something in common with the stick figure on the thumbnail. You get anxious. Sometimes about real danger, most of the time about an email, silence in a chat, an awkward glance in a meeting. And somewhere deep down you think, something is wrong with my brain. Here's the strange part. It's working fine. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. It was just built for a different world. And that, when you think about it, is a much more uncomfortable piece of news. Because if it isn't broken, you can't just switch it off. Anxiety is one of the most common complaints of modern humans. Millions of people get diagnosed every year. Millions more live with it in silence. But here's something most people never say out loud. Anxiety isn't a malfunction. It's the price of survival. And your ancestors who didn't have it simply didn't get the chance to become your ancestors. Deep inside your brain, beneath all the layers of language, logic, and reason, there is a small structure roughly the size of an almond. They actually named it after that. The amygdala. It doesn't speak, it doesn't reason, it doesn't read context. It does one thing. It scans everything happening around you and asks, could this kill me? And if the answer is possibly, it fires anxiety, before your conscious mind has even registered what happened. Joseph Ledoux, a neuroscientist at New York University who spent most of his scientific life studying the amygdala, measured this speed. The amygdala responds in 12 milliseconds. The cortex, the part that thinks, needs at least a quarter of a second, which means your body is already in threat mode before your mind has received the message. In one study, participants were shown images of snakes so fast they swore they saw nothing. Less than 1,000th of a second. Not enough time for the brain to register what it was. The amygdala fired anyway. Every single time. Sit with that for a moment. Fear starts before you know what you're afraid of. That's not a bug. That's the architecture. Now picture the African savanna, 300,000 years ago. No walls, no locks, no one to call, just grass, darkness, sounds you can't identify. Leopards hunted at night, hyenas ran in packs, a lion could close 20 meters on you in silence before you ever saw it. In that world, the person who relaxed died. Not metaphorically, literally. The one who heard a rustle in the grass and thought, probably just the wind, most likely didn't get another chance to think. But the one who froze, listened, got ready to run or fight, that one survived. Found food, had children, and passed down that anxious, always scanning brain to you. So, in some sense, your panic attack over an email is proof that your family line ran unbroken for hundreds of thousands of years. Congratulations, I think. But stop here for a second. If anxiety was so useful, why does it feel like a catastrophe now? Why does the body respond to an email the same way it responded to a lion? The amygdala never updated. In the last 200,000 years, your brain didn't receive a single patch, no firmware update. The same structure that saved your ancestor from a leopard today fires at an unanswered message. At the thought, what if I mess this up? At the checkout line where you always end up in the slow queue. It doesn't see a difference. A threat is a threat. Scientists call this evolutionary mismatch. Your brain is perfectly calibrated for a world that no longer exists. And it's still there. You're not on the savannah, but your amygdala still thinks you are. Now, the question that puts everything in place. Did ancient humans have panic attacks? Almost certainly. They just didn't know it was a problem. When an ancient human felt a sudden racing heart, shortness of breath, tunnel vision, that wasn't a mistake.
That was accurate. There is a real predator. There is a real reason to move right now. The body switched into emergency mode, and emergency mode saved lives. Today, the same body switches into the same mode. Only the predator is gone. There is a deadline instead. A message marked seen with no reply. An awkward silence after a joke. But the alarm system doesn't know that. There's one more kind of anxiety worth talking about. Because most people don't even recognize it as anxiety. Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA found that social rejection activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain. Not as a metaphor, the same neurons. Someone blocks you, and the brain responds like you've been hit. Why? Anthropologists who studied hunter-gatherers, the Hadza in Tanzania, the Kung in the Kalahari, documented one consistent pattern. Expulsion from the group was the harshest punishment that existed. Not because it was shameful, because alone you were dead.
25 people in a camp were your shield, your medicine, your food. So the brain still tracks every signal of rejection with the same vigilance as a sound in the grass at night. A post with no likes, a message left on read. For the amygdala, that's not nothing. That's a signal. Maybe they're pushing you out. There's something here I couldn't accept for a long time. Picture two people on the same savanna, 300,000 years ago. The first one is calm, balanced, hears a rustle in the grass and thinks, probably nothing serious. The second one is anxious, hypervigilant, heart beating faster, thoughts going in circles. Which one is your ancestor? The answer is the second one. Every time. Evolutionary psychologists have a name for this, the false alarm hypothesis. A false trigger? Not fatal. Missing the real threat? That's everything. The calm person made fewer mistakes, but one mistake cost them everything. The anxious one made mistakes constantly, and lived. Which means every person on Earth is descended from a line that never relaxed. Not once. Your ancestors' anxiety saved their lives. Yours ruins your sleep. Same system, just a different world. There's one more thing, and almost nobody mentions it. Ancient humans lived in groups of 25 to 30 people. They spent most of their time outside, moving. Conflicts got resolved through talking, or through walking. If something became unbearable, one side would simply leave for another camp for a few weeks. Anxiety existed, but it had an exit. The body prepared for action and then acted. Cortisol, adrenaline, it all burned off in movement. Here's something most people don't know. The cortisol from a single panic attack stays in your bloodstream for up to 6 hours. Your body holds you in danger is near mode for hours after nothing happened. Same preparation for action, but no action. You sit. You stare at a screen. You wait. That's not a malfunction. That's a body that loaded up to run and never got to go. Your brain isn't broken. It just thinks you're still there. In the grass, in the dark, where any sound could be the last one. A panic attack isn't weakness. It isn't a glitch. It's the amygdala doing exactly what it was built to do. Saving you. The same way it saved every one of your ancestors. It just doesn't know the predators are gone. And that's the whole problem. The message hasn't arrived yet.